This story is sponsored by DigElog ROCORI. DigElog ROCORI specializes in planning, producing, and creating your unique story. Whether it's community events, sports, or stories of life, DigElog ROCORI is the place where local stories come alive. Back to pass, fourth and long. Nice tackle. Berger, just a 7th grader, already on the varsity squad for diving.
Hi, this is Dan Coughlin, City Administrator for the City of Richmond with the Richmond Update. A few things. Now it's February and heading into March, and you know, if you've lived in Minnesota any time at all, that this is a time where one day it's 15 degrees and the next day it's 40. We appreciate everybody's patience on, with streets, especially side streets. They get a little ragged this time of year. Our snowplow drivers out there trying to scrape things off, but please keep in mind that the ice that's on the roads is hard, compacted ice. So even though there might be slush right next to it, and it's going, hey, where's the snowplow driver? Why isn't he scraping this slush off? The problem is right next to it is ice that is compacted and in place, and it's just going to take Mother Nature to soften this stuff up a little bit. We've tried to salt some, but we try to limit the use of salt, not for, we put it down when we need to for public safety purposes, but for trying to melt chunks of ice in the street, we try to hold off on it, because a lot of the surface water that is flowing off our streets ends up in the Sauk River and chain of lakes, and we don't want to contaminate the environment with that. So we have to try and strike a balance here. We understand that there's some issues with water that has nowhere to go, because city fathers and mothers of years past chose not to put storm sewer and curb and gutter in. So there are people who do suffer every year with having Minnesota get one more lake in the 10,000 lakes that we have. Thanks for your patience. If you do have a specific issue, feel free to give us a call here at City Hall, and we'll try and work with you and your neighbors to address some of these things. But a lot of it is just, we got to wait for the first 50-degree day, and then it'll all hopefully go away for us for another year, and we'll forget about it when the warm weather comes. Also, just wanted to note that the dog licenses are just around the corner for the due date. They're required to be all completed by May 1st, and so we're got a couple months left, but now is the time to start putting the vet visit on the agenda and on the calendar, so you can get the rabies shots and distemper shots updated and get your shot records into City Hall. So when your dog license is set to be renewed, it's a quick and easy process for you to come in, pay your $10, and then you're good for another year. So if you've got questions about that, feel free to call Marilyn at City Hall. She's the one that coordinates that stuff, 597-2075. With that, that's our update for this week. Feel free to give us a call at City Hall anytime, and check back here soon for new updates. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Phil Jones, the Chief of Police for the cities of Cold Spring, Richmond, and the Township of Wakefield. We serve a very large jurisdiction, about 37 square miles and roughly 9,000 people. I'm with you today to talk about my year-end report. This is the time of year in which I compile all the statistics and track trends on what's happening in each of the 3 entities, and also what's happening to the police department as a whole as we watch that entire 37 square mile geographic area. In 2008, we responded to jointly 4,982 calls, so roughly 5,000 calls within our combined jurisdiction. The city of Cold Spring produces the largest amount of volume at 3,198, second by Wakefield with 1,087, and finally Richmond at 698. But in general, just want to give you an outline of what's happening. When you keep a thing to keep in mind when you're looking at these statistics are not all of the 5,000 calls are crime. So I prepare a pie chart, which I call crime time, and that outlines the breakdown of calls. And from that pie chart, you can see that 47% of our calls are calls for service. These entail assistance to the public in just a variety of different ways, from medical situations to unlocking car doors, to handling trespassing complaints, little things like that. And they account for 47%. The second largest chunk is traffic related, and that accounts for another 40%. So when you get down to serious crime, it is a small piece of the pie, but nevertheless it's very important. Our major crime index, which is all the burglaries and more serious related thefts and criminal damage to properties and crimes like that, they comprise 7% of our total activity. And along with that, alcohol related offenses pull in 4%, and drug related offenses pull in 2%. I don't have data for other cities, but from being in this position for 20 years in the city of Cold Spring, I can tell you that we're about as normal as can be. And I can evidence this with the facts that the trends in Wakefield Township seem to mimic Cold Springs. And then years later we added the city of Richmond to our partnership, and those also seem to mimic. We have about the same amounts and types of activity in the three different entities. So I'm very confident that Paynesville or St. Joe, for example, would have much the same data as us, just more or less depending upon the population size. One of the points of interest usually to the citizens and the city councils is the amount of drug-related activity. We know from many years of hard lessons that drugs also bring about secondary crimes. People steal, for example, to get money to support their drug habit. People burglarize homes to get money to support their drug habit. A lot of criminal activity goes on behind the scenes of drugs, not only the illegal act itself of possessing the drugs. So as I mentioned, a 2% rate of drug arrests doesn't seem that big, but in fact this year alone it was 100 drug arrests.